At this point, OnlyFans has many, many levels as well. You can be doing the deep, dark porn, and then you can also just be standing there in a bikini.
Yeah, guys, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to guys.
Well, I think it should. I really, really do think it should.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda, girl.
The platform comes with a stigma, and I understand it.
Would you ban pornography?
I don't know, like over 60 or 70% of like 11, 12-year-olds had already seen hardcore pornography. That is terrible.
Yeah, I discovered pornography with my friends when I was 12.
If a girl says she's bisexual, she's just curious and she's actually straight. But if a guy is bisexual, he's curious and actually he's gay.
Yo guys, welcome back to another episode on my channel. I'm sitting in this spot, which means I've got a great conversation lined up for you today. You know, on this channel, we love to talk about all things dating, relationships, and see what we can do to attract the kind of person and relationship we want. So without further ado, please welcome back to the show, Shorty. How you doing, girl?
Hello,
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
You're the first this year.
Love that.
You're the
Love
first
that for
this
me.
year. I know. We always have great chats, but we ran out of time last time. So we're going to go through some of the things we wanted to. You brought some stuff that you want us to chat about, and I'm sure we'll go all over the place. But I always have to jump straight in. So first, tell us your age or your age range. Asking a lady her age, of course. And then something a guy should know about you if he was going to ask you and take you on a date.
Okay, so I will be 44 this year.
Come on.
I'm 43, yes, happily middle-aged.
Nice.
And I suppose if a man wanted to take me on a date, I would say that it'd have to be worth it because I have a very full life, you know, and I do amazing things for myself. I have an amazing crew, a squad. I have a beautiful relationship with my children. And if I'm going to go on a date, it's really got to be worth my time.
So what does making it worth it look like to you?
I think the number one is going to have to be effort. A lot of guys ask me out and then they will say things like, well, what do you want to do? It already just doesn't interest me.
So is it more about planning the date?
Yes, please do. You know, I very much live in my masculine as a single mom. You know, I'm very much always planning things, organizing things. I have a lot of responsibilities. And from my experience as well, when a man really wants to take me out, he plans it meticulously and I don't have to think about anything. And actually, some men, I'm not that interested in them, but I'll still go on the date because the way they showed up to plan the date is quite attractive and intriguing. So I'll go on the date.
Yeah, I hear that. I think that, and I wonder, because if a guy asking you, what do you want to do? Or it could be like, what do you like? Right? Because it could be like, you say you want to do sushi. So then he's like, cool, let's go to this restaurant this day, this time. So he could be just asking what your interests are, right? As opposed to asking you to plan the date, right? Because yeah, some guys are going to be like, cool, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this. And you're saying, you know, you like that, fair enough. But what I'm saying is that I think, is there a possibility that the guys who are asking to see what you like, what you're into, is that them, not that there's a lack of intention or a lack of effort, but they just want to make sure that you're going to have a great experience because obviously they want to make a great first impression. Does that make sense?
It makes absolute sense. And I hear you. And again, I think it's all about how they come across with their approach. Right. Because I've had men say like, well, what do you want to do? And I'll say to them very clearly, I'd like you to plan that. And then they'll say things like, okay, Mexican or Japanese? Japanese, great. Active date, chill date, active date, great.
Okay, so that's fine then.
That's fine. Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm not a dick. Like, you know, I'm not this like entitled bitch going, you gotta take me out and pay for everything. And at the end, you can buy me a Louis Vuitton bag. Like, it's just really not who I am.
Yeah, the reason I say it's because I've heard this complaint from women before, being like, why is a guy asking me what we want to do? But then obviously, especially nowadays, there's a big narrative and awareness on what a woman likes, what she desires. A lot of women expressing online, this is what I like, this is what I desire. So I think because, especially if a guy, you know, is into you, or at least has high interest, he's like, okay, I really want to make sure that we're doing something that she enjoys.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Have you ever planned a first date?
No.
Would you?
I don't think so. Yeah. No. No. I'm going to take that back. I'm going to take it right back. I would not plan a first date. I think for me, the most I can do is let a man know that I'm interested, and then I would like him to plan the date. I have planned dates, you know, for my partner at the time, whether it was, you know, my high school boyfriend or my husband at the time.
Mm.
And I will absolutely spoil my man. I absolutely love doing that, actually,
Mm.
But I think a woman needs to feel safe, secure, needs to feel valued, and then she does those things purely out of her heart with no expectation of anything materialistic back, if that makes sense. Um,
Mm.
when a man provides a safe space for a woman to be herself and bloom, if you will,
Mm.
then she happily does those things for her man.
I hear that. I think a lot of guys experience that way further into the dating relationship process. So
Yes.
I think they only experience a woman being like that with them several months in. By that point, he's obviously invested like the level of investment, him to her, is obviously, there's huge gaps in that. And sure, that happens because men make that initial investment, right? But for her to feel safe, secure, where she can give generously like that, I'd even say 9 times out of 10, they're already in a relationship.
Yeah, however you want to define that relationship. But yes, I would say that there's been some time that has passed. Yeah,
Would she do that within like the first couple of months?
I would.
You would?
I mean, again, I think because of my age, going to spend I'm not going to spend months of my time with someone that I don't really see any sort of future with.
Mm-hmm.
And between you and me, maybe your views don't know. I don't really believe in monogamy, and I believe that relationship dynamics are put into very few a few boxes that don't really work for us these days.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's really about finding what works for you.
Yeah. So what does that look like when you say have a future together, but you're not believing in having a monogamous relationship? What does that look like? Does that look like, okay, there's somebody who you have a level of trust with, who you can spend evenings and nights with together, but you have very separate lives? Is it that, okay, you are both together, but you can physically explore elsewhere? Like, what does that look like to you?
Do you mean specifically for me, or just in general how I would see things?
What's the difference?
Well, I mean, are you asking me specifically what a relationship would look like for me if I was not
Monogamous.
monogamous?
Well, yeah, because I think for a lot of guys, if they hear someone go, oh, I'm not looking for something monogamous, but I wouldn't date someone unless I saw a future with them.
Mm-hmm.
What does that kind of relationship look like to you?
For me specifically, I think no, I know. Backtrack that again. So I'm
Yes.
very big on language. Uh, all of the yummy things that you would have in a monogamous relationship, but without the monogamy. So trust, honesty,
Hmm.
integrity, the ability to have uncomfortable conversations. I'm at a place in my life where I thrive off those uncomfortable conversations, and I certainly don't shy away from them.
Yep.
But I can't really say exactly what it looks like because I'm not in that situation. And I could talk about what it would look like for me in an ideal scenario, but the
Mm.
truth is, until it actually happens to me, I won't really know how it's going to work. But I think
Interesting.
I can't put all the rules on it now because I don't know the guy. I haven't met the guy, and what I want, he might not want. And there is a place where you have to adapt and compromise in a relationship if it has the depth that you want it to,
Sure. So I
right?
guess, is there a difference to you between someone who's like a friend with benefits? And I don't mean like a fuck buddy. I mean, you generally are good friends, you have love and respect for each other, but sometimes you will have physical moments together, right? And someone where you're in a non-monogamous relationship with. Is there a difference between those two dynamics to you?
Yes, I think so. I think actually, again, being like a language geek, I would see a difference in all things. So, like, whether it's a fuck buddy, booty call, friends with benefits, all of those things
Mm-hmm.
are different. I think friends with benefits can get complicated if you're not honest and open with each other. A
Sure.
lot of times someone gets hurt. Sometimes it's the girl, a lot of times it's the girl, not always.
Sure.
Um, but if you're genuinely friends, there's already that familiarity, that respect. So
Mm-hmm.
hopefully you would go out of your way to not hurt that person, right?
Yeah.
But if you're in a non-monogamous relationship, I think, you would have to look at specifically what that looks like for you. You have to
Mm,
create your own rules that make sense for you. So for some people that might be, we only play together. That is it.
yep.
We're not monogamous, well, we play together. So if you play outside of that, that is
Well, that
cheating.
that would be monogamous, though, wouldn't it?
Well, no, well, I suppose no, I don't think so. I mean, I think when we talk about monogamy, we're talking about sexual exclusivity, no?
Yeah. So when you said that we only, oh,
We play
sorry,
together
we played
with
it with
other
someone
people.
else.
Yeah.
I
So you
got you.
might
I'm with
go
you.
to a sex party, or you might, swing with
Yes,
another couple, or you might invite a new guest,
got you.
something like
Play
that.
together, not separate.
Exactly.
I hear you.
And then other people might say, okay, no, we are romantic and we nurture our relationship in, the friendship area, in the sexual area, whatever, but I don't want to know anything that you do.
Yes.
Just go out, I don't want to find out about it or anything like that. You go and do your thing.
Right.
The reason I talk about these kind of dynamics is because I think we touched upon it on all of our previous talks, which is, there's a 50% divorce rate,
Mhm.
right? Like if you were going to go for an operation and they said, well, it's 50-50, you'd be like, maybe I'm not going to do it.
Very true.
But there is still this romantic idea that you want to get married and, have your person and have children and grow old together. And that's lovely. But I think if you go and ask those couples that have been together for 50 or 60 years, they'll say, well, it was a different time. And no matter what happened, whether it was physical violence or infidelity or, sickness, we went through the ups and downs, and I hated him for 15 years of our marriage. I've heard that from a lot of people. The men kind of, they're happy, they're healthy. And then the women, they're like, yeah, I love him. But there were 20 years where I didn't.
Yeah, I think because ultimately marriage isn't actually about love or happiness, really. It's more about the commitment and duty and what it serves a purpose, right?
Well, what purpose does it have in this day and age? I think you get a tax break.
Well, it's usually to raise a family. It's usually to raise a family. Like, I think, from a lot of men I talk to, if they didn't want kids, they would never get married.
Mm.
Whereas I think a lot of women, at least I've spoken to, even if they weren't going to have kids, they would still want to get married because there's a sense of security that marriage can provide. Even though 50% of the time it doesn't end the best way,
Yeah.
but there's a sense of security from that. I think that in regards to the difference between like friends with benefits and like non-monogamous relationship, I think friends with benefits is like you're both genuinely friends. You guys will sleep together sometimes, but you're probably having romantic connections elsewhere, or you're open to dating seriously elsewhere, but you just enjoy the time that you spend together. Whereas non-monogamous relationship feels like, okay, a little bit like there are a lot of like gay relationships between guys where romantically it's just them, but they may have physical experiences elsewhere.
Yeah.
And that's how I kind of imagine that. But you had a couple of things you wanted to talk about today. And you sent me a list, which is great. So I love this. So I mean,
like providing options.
I love it. I love it. I mean, what do you want to start with?
I think
Would
maybe
you like to
just
start
to
with?
say that, it's interesting to be on a podcast that's about dating when I don't specifically date very much, as you know.
Mhm.
And what I'm interested in and what I'm learning about at the moment as well is how women are dating themselves, dating their friends, and they're not really spending that much time investing in romantic relationships. And whereas I understand where that mentality is coming from, it is sad to me as a hopeless romantic on the inside, because I feel like we really are at a place where we're so disconnected from ourselves that we find it very, very challenging to have relationships with the opposite sex. So why, I mean, I pose you a question, why do you think women aren't interested in dating as much? And then I think maybe we could talk a little bit about, what dating yourself looks like, because ultimately the happier and healthier the relationship is that you have with yourself, the happier your relationship is going to be in a romantic dynamic.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that. I think definitely on that last part, I think people can look for relationships for happiness, but happiness starts from within first. Why are women not dating? Well, it's interesting because I think there's a big difference than saying I'm choosing not to date and I don't have the options that I'm wanting. I think there's a really big difference, because saying, okay, I'm not going to date because, you know, I have options that I actually want, that I would entertain a relationship, but I just don't want one. That's very different, because they could be their own journey. Maybe they don't want a serious monogamous relationship. But from what I have seen, and correct me if I'm wrong, anytime I've seen women express about, oh, they're not dating, it's because they outcomes haven't happened for them with certain guys, for example, or they don't have the options that they're looking for. And maybe they don't know how to go about having the right kind of guy, having the right kind of relationship. So they're just choosing not to play the game. Essentially, they feel that they can't win. So they're like, well, if I can't win, I'm not going to play. Right. And I think those are two very different kinds.
It's a preservation tactic. And if you've been hurt, if you've been traumatized in relationships, and a lot of us have been, then you would rather just take yourself out of the danger zone. And unfortunately, now the dating scene, like the streets, it's like a danger zone. So like you have to armor up, you have to suit up and, you know, protect your heart. And then there are all of these rules, like, I don't know, I just don't really conform to that stuff anymore. But maybe if I was in my 20s, then I would. You know, maybe if I was in my 20s, I would go out with all these guys that are asking me out and who are kind, caring, good-looking, generous, whatever. But I just feel like it's just not my priority at the moment. But I think, like I said, that's an age thing. And I think it would be sad if 20-year-olds, and from what I understand, this is the case, like the 20-year-olds have that mindset that they can't be bothered to date because it's a shit show.
Yep.
But that's really different to someone in their 40s who's been married and who has children.
Very true. I think there's a couple of things here. Because one, women have way more freedom and agency and masters of their own destiny than they didn't have before. In every aspect, professional, love, romantic, right? So on paper, they should be the most happy because they have the most choice and most agency. I think what's happening is that what I think a lot of women are realizing is that, because there was a reason back in the day, I'm not saying we should go back to this, but there was a reason back in the day that fathers would choose for their daughters. There was a reason back in the day, a woman, even a man as well, but definitely more so a woman, a young woman, she was not left to her own devices to choose. Because there are things that maybe she doesn't know to look for that she does need to look for. There are things that she should look out for that she doesn't recognize. And so I think what's happened is, back in the day, they were allowed to go and swim in the ocean with a teacher, with armbands, but they were given lanes. And then they were like, we don't want these lanes anymore. I don't want no lanes. I don't want no help. So it's like, okay, you have no lanes. You have no armbands. The ocean is yours to swim in. And a lot of them don't know how to swim to the destination that they're trying to get to.
Yeah.
And so I think what's happening with just women across the board, right, younger and older, maybe slightly different reasons and approaches, but I think they don't know how to attract the kind of man and relationship that they actually want. And unfortunately, popular media doesn't tell them that, or doesn't show them how, because there are some realities about life that aren't the nicest to say, or that aren't what people would say politically correct. Attraction is not politically correct. It's not politically correct. Love
well, attraction is a biological thing. So
yeah, but what I mean is, like, and we hear this all the time, if a woman says, okay, well, I'm more attracted to a guy who's taller rather than shorter, it's not politically correct, but that doesn't make it any less of reality for some women.
But I would say that's a preference, and it shouldn't be like if you want depth in a relationship, whether it's sexual, romantic, or leading to marriage, you can't base it on if the guy is 6 foot. Like,
well, I'm just talking about attraction, for example.
Well, attraction is very important I suppose,
that's what
attraction is initially important when you start a relationship. But what I would encourage people to understand and maybe research a little bit is that those dopamine hits that you get in the beginning of a relationship, they're not actually your reward part of the brain.
Yes.
It's an anticipation part of the brain. So that dopamine masks itself, if you will, as oxytocin, which is the good one to have.
Yes.
Right? So if you knew that, then you would maybe question when you get those butterflies, and you could ask yourself, okay, this is a moment to pause. Am I falling in love, or am I just having a dopamine rush? And are these butterflies in my stomach the beginning of something very healthy and very special and very loving and wonderful? Or is it my body signaling to me that this man is in fact not safe, that he might, have some of those traits that my toxic father had or my narcissist mother had, right? Because we repeat the patterns that we saw in our childhood. But again, if you knew that, then maybe you would pause and you would, before you put all your eggs in one basket. And listen, with how powerful dopamine can feel, and again, our desire to be romantic and, oh, is this my soulmate? Maybe there's just there, you can't control it anyway. But again, if you knew that dopamine is the fake shit and not the real shit, then maybe you would be a bit more careful where you tread.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think dopamine's there to serve a purpose for sure, but I don't think it's dictating a lot of people's actions for sure. I agree. There's something else that I do think that is at play here, and I'm just going from when I see a lot of women expressing they want a relationship and settle down, they often express they want a traditional dynamic, right? Some are happy to do like doing 50-50 with things, where, some
not traditional already then.
That's not traditional.
Not traditional.
That's not traditional.
50-50 should be with regards to respect, integrity, honesty, and all of those things. It's not about, he's the man and he should carry the heavy stuff, and I'm going to try and carry the heavy stuff as well. That whole like women want equality. Oh, you can't be equal. No, we don't want equality in things that are divinely masculine or divinely feminine. We want equality fundamentally with respect.
Yes, but I think, and sure, this is biased because I think this is the male perspective, what I get from the guys. A lot of women want the benefits of what the traditional dynamic comes with, but not the responsibility of what comes with being traditional, likewise with being modern, right? So yes, there are a few women who are happy to do 50-50, right? I'd say that's in the minority. Usually when I see women expressing they want to settle down, have a relationship, they want a more traditional dynamic with a more traditional man. Fine, fair enough. But what I get from the guys is that most women are not traditional nowadays.
Well,
right?
When you say traditional, like what are these men expecting the women to do, and what do these women think that traditional roles are?
Good question. So if we say about what women express about what they're looking for, a man who is going to lead, a man who's going to financially provide, a man who's going to, again, make her feel safe in that sense, a man who's willing to sacrifice for her, a man who's going to marry her, a man who's going to, the traditional masculine role that men have traditionally done, right? I would say.
And what does she meant to bring if he brings all that?
It would be respect, submission, and a lot of guys express chastity.
I mean, if you're in a marriage and you've taken vows before God, then I suppose that should be the case.
Yeah. So I think, for example, and like when a guy sees a girl who maybe does OnlyFans saying that she wants a traditional man, they just laugh. They're like, how can you expect that? Because there's like, out of everything that is considered traditional, and it's not laughing about whether she can have a relationship or not, she can, but the kind of man she's looking for is very traditional, but she's at least chosen to be a very modern woman, and there's nothing wrong with that. But then a traditional guy just isn't a match for you, right? They're not going to look for that.
I think I'm going to stand up for all the girls who have OnlyFans right now. Me not being one of them. But at this point, OnlyFans has many, many levels as well. You can be doing the deep, dark porn, and then you can also just be standing there in a bikini.
Yeah, guys, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to guys.
Well, I think it should. I really, really do think it should.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda, girl.
The platform comes with a stigma, and I understand it. But I think it's premature to just immediately label someone not marriage material because they have an OnlyFans. And I would also
go on.
I would also say, I think a lot of those men, they worry about what their friends would think, what their family would think if they were with a girl who has an OnlyFans account.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Because respect
again,
is
this is
important.
this is a place for education, and I'm so not about shaming. You know me, right? It's always about compassion. That's what makes me a good coach. You know, if I had an OnlyFans girl come to me as a client, I'm not there to shame her. If she's happy with her choices, then that's what I have to go with. If through therapy we realize that, oh shit, she's not okay with her choices, then that's something that we can unpack together. But it's certainly not my place to judge her. But I think just putting everyone in that category and saying they're unmarriage material, I would challenge that.
Sure. And that's not what I said. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying they're not seen as traditional.
Okay, fair
Right?
enough, but it's
So-
not just that. Come on, like it's not because they have an OnlyFans you think, oh, they're not traditional.
No, well, I was saying that guys are saying that if a girl's doing certain things, then she's not a traditional woman.
Well, then
So
you could also say you could just choose any other platform any other career where a woman is potentially making bags of money. That's not traditional. It's not traditional for a woman to make more money than the man. So that would be, not traditional.
Sure. And don't get me wrong, I don't think it's like there's one man who crosses every traditional box. There's one woman who crosses every traditional box. However, if someone's traditional, it means that they tick more boxes that are traditional than not. So just because a woman has a career, she can still be traditional by nature, right? Especially if we're talking about a relationship. If a woman is selling sexuality, and it's not a judgment on that, but then by definition, you're not a traditional woman, that's okay. But then ask for a traditional man.
Why? Because sex is the oldest business in the world.
Yeah.
So fair enough, like back in the cowboy days, I don't think the hoes were getting married, after they finished
the women who sold sex were women who were not married.
Fair enough. And again, those were the times there, but
it's the times now.
Yeah, I just want to point out, sex has been around for centuries and centuries. It's the oldest business in the world.
Very
and
true.
I say we, women, not me.
Yes.
They've found a way to monetize it, and it is working. But on the other hand, where I'll stick up for them in one sense, I also feel fundamentally it's part of the reason why so many marriages and relationships are struggling, because things like OnlyFans have been made so popular. And it's just another way that we have been given too many options. I think we spoke about this last time, how before you just had your village and you might have someone in the next village.
Yep.
But now we have access to people worldwide.
Yep.
Just because, and it's done the opposite. You'd think, oh God, we've got so much more variety. We should find it so much easier to find someone that is like us. But actually what it's done is create the illusion that everybody is replaceable and you can just swipe left, you can block someone, and then you'll just have a new dilemma.
Yeah. So in terms of the access, which I completely agree comes from internet technology, social media, dating apps. Yes, you can match with anyone now. Yes, it's created an illusion of abundance, but what it's also really done, and this is the main thing for men and for women, but men have always known this. It has increased the competition. Competition is steep. And there's actually something happening now, which I think has never happened before for women as a whole. We know that, we've talked about this before, only like 38% of men have ever reproduced historically. So as men, we already know by default, there is no guarantee of a relationship, no guarantee of a family, no guarantee our lineage is going to continue. No guarantee. We have to compete to become one of those men.
It's
right?
actually evolutionary.
It is absolutely
happening. Yeah, less men are being born, and it would look like we're evolving out of having men. Like if we didn't have all the technology and the ways to get pregnant and things like that, we would probably stop having boys.
Well, I think it's always been the case because we have twice as many female ancestors and ancestors, right? So it's always
women live longer, which means that we're technically evolving into a matriarchal society. And if you look at matriarchs,
I wouldn't say that.
But that's science and evolution. This is stuff that I've been learning for the last year.
But whether it's a matriarch or patriarch isn't down to the demographic of the population. It's the values and principles of the population.
But if women are growing older, because when something happens in evolution, it's because...
To be fair, I'd say we're in a matriarchy now, actually, to be fair. I would agree with you.
I don't know whether we are yet. I would love to see a matriarchal society. I feel like we would be so much more nurtured. I feel like patriarchy has had its moment, and we know what I think about that.
Sure.
You know, like it's just not working. It's not working for women. It's not working for men. But
Go on.
if we were to have a matriarchal society where everybody was really nurtured from birth with that mothering sense, and, you know, men didn't have, through no fault of their own, you know, that mother wound, because if a mother abandons you, that wound is a lot harder to deal with than daddy issues.
Mhm.
I had this conversation recently and I was like, seriously, if I feel like daddy issues, I would take any day. I would any day take a girl who has daddy issues over a man that has mommy issues.
You take a girl over daddy issues?
100%.
As in to date?
I'm not opposed to dating a girl. I haven't.
Sure. I want to go back on the and tell me what you think, right?
Yeah.
We've probably come from different areas. So the reason I think we actually live in a matriarchal society, and when I say that, I told you, it's not about the demographic of the population, though of course there are more women than men. It's the values of the society and culture. Would you agree that, like, I think it would be fair to say that typically logic is associated with the masculine, emotion is associated with the feminine, in which everybody has both, right? We prioritize feelings over facts in this society. We prioritize how someone feels over what is objectively truth.
But it's really naive.
But that's the kind of society we live in right now.
And again, relationships aren't working. So I would ask everybody to look within and be like, listen, it's okay. Like, you feel like that. Like, I don't feel like going to the gym, but I go and I do it anyway. So if I feel brokenhearted, instead of going and like chasing down that man and like being the most psycho that I could be, I would rather sit with it. Again, maybe because of my age or because of the experiences that I've had going through like quite a rough divorce and stuff. Like, I have the tools and the bravery to sit with whatever. I mean, I have cried on the floor, you know, I have ugly cried to my friends for weeks and months on end but that was the only option that I knew to do. Like, I wasn't going to go drinking and get drunk every day. I wasn't going to do drugs. I wasn't going to have promiscuous sex or turn into a hoe. To be fair, that's not true. I really thought when I left my marriage, oh, like, I'll have a hoe phase now. And then it just didn't happen. And now I know it will never happen. It's just not who I am. But yeah, that's what I would say to that.
I hear you. So that, I think that's, in terms of how to process your emotions, I think that's really valuable for sure. I'm talking about the values and cultures of the culture we live in now. Like, how many times, right, do we hear someone say, oh, my exes were, you know, I've been with narcissists the whole time, right?
Narcissist is just a term that was like really trending a few years ago. And I think
I'm just not saying it's not saying it's not wrong, but what I'm saying is, like, narcissism is a literal clinical diagnosis. It's like saying, oh, I was with someone who's bipolar, and it's like, you can't just say someone is bipolar just because you feel like it was, right? So, and also, you know, I don't want to, you don't have to step into that, but also it's about, okay, it's not about what you are on the outside, it's about what you feel like on the inside, right? And whatever you feel like on the inside is the truth, right?
For you.
Right, but then here's the thing. I don't believe in my truth. I believe there is the truth.
But feelings and emotions are not up for debate. Like, if I'm hurt, you can't tell me, well, I didn't hurt you.
No, I agree with you.
You know, but maybe you can say, well, my intention wasn't to hurt you. And I've heard that from men, oh, it wasn't my intention. Are you dumb? Like, sometimes I just want, and I never say this to them. I just, you know, hold my peace forever. But I sometimes, are you dumb? Like, are you telling me that your behavior that you aim towards me, you didn't think that that would be hurtful, or you didn't think that that would be disrespectful? You know, like, it
doesn't invalidate how, I'm not saying that our feelings are not and shouldn't be validated, but I think what we're finding is more like, okay, if I've hurt you unintentionally, so, right, then it's like, okay, well, now everything has to revolve around how you feel because you're hurt, or you're the one expressing that you're hurt.
Is it coming from a victim mentality? That's what I would say as well. And I just can't, I don't have time for that. I really don't. Like, I don't have time for your victim mentality. Like, I didn't do anything malicious to you. So if you are upset and you are having a meltdown, that is on you. And that's what I would say. Like it's
Sure.
the horrible truth. But if someone had a meltdown for something that I don't even think is that bad, I can say I don't think it's a
Show
backward
empathy.
apology when you say I'm sorry you feel like that, because I can be sorry that you feel like that. I'm sorry you took it that way, but it wasn't my intention. So why am I supposed to apologize that you got hurt?
I agree. You know, I'm sorry that wasn't my intention.
It was
I'm sorry
like
that you feel that
minimal
way.
amount for bullshit, you know? Like I just don't do the victim mentality. I feel like I could have become a victim, you know, like, but I don't resonate towards that. Like it's much more valuable to me to be strong, to be grounded.
Mhm.
But saying that, I don't want to say like if I'm hurt, it means like what's another thing? Rewind for a
Go on.
second. Like if you hurt me,
Mm.
that's on me to unpack. Again, I want to take accountability for my role that I played in it. Instead of that's one thing that where relationships are going so wrong. So I'm hurt and it's all your fault and you are to blame for everything.
Yes.
And I would encourage people. So occasionally I've had couples come to me where and I'm not a couples therapist, but again, they resonate towards me. So they come and they ask me.
Yes.
But I'll say to them, like, just stop blaming each other when you're arguing. And if you're having the same fight year in, year out, then how about you take some responsibility for your role in that argument and actually maybe have the uncomfortable conversation and say, you know what, I don't think this is working because we don't see eye to eye there.
Yeah.
You know, I heard something recently in a movie. I think it was Eat, Pray, Love with Julia Roberts. I was having a real moment.
That old chestnut.
And the guy says something to her and he says like, we're not happy together, but we would rather have this unhappiness than live apart. Because living apart would be they are more miserable. And I would encourage everybody to say, right, that's a really unhealthy relationship dynamic and you deserve happiness. And maybe you go to couples therapy to figure out what that is, because you should not be thinking which is the lesser evil.
True.
You know,
I'm going to say something really controversial. I don't think we're entitled to happiness.
My best friend says
I don't think we are.
Often.
I think happiness is an emotion that comes and goes, and I think it's something that you learn to cultivate within yourself. But I think this is a big part of people's relationship dissatisfactions, because they have an expectation
that the other person
to make it happy
should make them happy.
Right.
Another reason why I don't believe in monogamy, because you know, I'm sure we said this in another one of our chats, you know, like 60 years ago, you know, you got married because that farmer had cows and that farmer had land, and then they had a girl and they had a boy, and it just worked, you know, and it was very much more on paper.
Yes.
But nowadays we're spoiled for choice, right? And we want someone to be our best friend, our confidant. We want them to always be able to support us when we're having a breakdown or whatever. We want to have amazing sex. We want them to get along with our friends, our family. We want them to be a good provider or a nurturer or whatever. And it's just too much pressure, which is another reason why I always harp on about it is so important that you have your village, because your man or your woman is meant to be your person, yes, and they have a place and they have an importance and they might have a pedestal or anything like that. Hopefully you're both on the pedestal, right? But you need to have your best friends and you need to have your family, whether that is an aunt, an uncle, your mom, the grandparents or whatever. Your life will be so much more, it'll be so much more organized. It'll be so much less stressful, because when you have children, you have a village, right? And it's not that, you know, you have your best friend is not the person to constantly bitch about your man or your partner.
Yep.
And I say women because women are the ones that talk more and men don't usually share as much, right?
Yep.
But
we're more respectful. No, I'm just teasing you.
I'm just joking. Emotionally stunted.
I'm joking. No, but but for us, it is a respect thing for us, right? To not do that. You
know, but I think girls like to vent.
Yes.
And men like to fix things.
Yes.
Right? So again, that's a dynamic that causes a lot of friction in romantic relationships, because the woman will vent just wanting to get it off her chest, and the man feels helpless when he can't solve those problems for her.
Yeah, I would say that I think that's something we as men have to learn, that sometimes she just wants you to listen.
And just to
And
be
I
there,
think,
create a safe space.
I agree. I think that's something we have to learn because a lot of the time we are typically solution orientated. So we're like, okay, if we fix the problem, you're going to be fine. It's like, no, she just needs to get it out. How do you, because I think we hear a lot of the time, and I think that's right, make a woman feel safe, feel secure, how do you think, what do you think it takes for a man to feel safe and secure with a woman within a relationship, for him to get into a relationship with her?
So I think I learned a lot from that book that we mentioned last time, The Way of the Superior Man.
Oh, yes.
Right. The world is a very harsh place for men. There's a lot of competition. You, like we said, you're supposed to provide and protect, and you have to be financially stable and all of these things. The world is going to be chaotic to you. It's going to be cruel to you. When you come home to your woman, you need to be at peace. That is the most important thing. If you want those traditional roles, if you want a happy, healthy relationship, you're not going to want to come home to a woman saying, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? It doesn't work.
Yep.
But if you want a happier, healthier relationship, I would really, again, suggest first starting with yourself, but then start reading those books, listening to those podcasts, and looking into the history of how masculine and feminine yin and yang together. Because it's a nice dance if you can do it correctly.
Yeah.
And the divine feminine is wild like the ocean, unpredictable like the ocean, and man is grounded like the earth.
Very true.
Right? And there are a lot of men who will try and contain a woman. So when we talk about containment or submission, right? Some men have the idea, no, I need to be the provider and I need to be all powerful, and then she submits. But you get a woman to submit by providing that safe space.
Yes, I definitely think that is a part of it for sure. I think, and this is my own anecdotal experience, because I've dated women before who were the biggest boss babes, but then in the dynamic with me, they were more submissive, I should say.
Again, why? Because their masculine energy is out there being boss babe, and when they are with you, they want to relax and be there.
Yeah,
feminine.
But if I'm going to be honest, it's my anecdotal experience. It's how do I articulate this?
Just say it raw.
I literally had to show them and tell them who's boss within this relationship, within this dynamic.
But that's what women are looking for, actually.
And not in a kind of dominance, like arrogant way, but like, hey, look, this is how it's going to be. And if that's not for you, that's absolutely fine. But then maybe we're not right for each other. And then they have a decision to make. And what I have found, it's funny because I feel like at first, especially if she was very, how can I put this, strong feminist minded, at first there's resistance. Because I think there's a little bit of, I understand it, like, why should I have to do that? Why does it have to be this way? And I'm like, you don't have to do this. But then when she leans into it, she actually prefers it. And I've had a few express, I've never had that dynamic before. I didn't allow myself to have that dynamic before, but I actually really enjoy that. But I think that's because in the nicest way possible, there were times I'd tell her no. I'd be like, that's not how this is going to be. Or no, we're not doing that. Or, yeah, this is my standard. Right. And it's funny because I think the submission part doesn't come from her necessarily feeling safe, while that is definitely important for the feminine to manifest. I think it comes from her respecting him. And I think if she feels safe but doesn't respect him, that's a male friend. But I don't think she can submit
Men
to that
need
man.
respect in the relationship, like women need the safety.
100%.
Though
that's why men can't
polarity.
marry a girl who does OnlyFans.
I mean, they could have.
No, I'm joking. Well,
would you judge me if I had one?
I wouldn't judge you as a human being, but I would say you're not a traditional woman. And if you were saying, like, to
be honest, I might as well then, because I'm definitely not a traditional woman.
No, fine. Anyway, that's the thing. There's no right or wrong about it. I guess what I'm saying in regards to that, it's because the thing is, I know you said like, oh, it shouldn't be a problem, or guys should look for this, and it's like, look, there's no should and should about it. It's about what is, like, because as a guy, I can sit here and be like, you should want me just for me. Not because of what I can provide, not because I provide stability, not because, I provide a foundation for you to do what you want to do in life as a woman. You should just want me because I'm a nice guy. That's not the case.
Mm.
That's
The
not the
exchange
case.
has to be equal,
I don't even think it is equal. I think men, and that's fair enough.
Not equal with money and stuff, but again, respect, generosity, maybe, like all of those wonderful things that you would want to be reciprocated.
Yes, I think the energy can be reciprocated in other areas in the relationship for sure. Some things are the same. I completely agree. I think we have to let go of this. Well, you should want me for this, or you should want me for that. I think it's
Shoulda,
more
coulda,
about
woulda, like
that's what I
Yeah,
mean.
no,
And
I
so
get
it's like, because as guys, we've always had to accept either we're the kind of man that you want or not. And if we're not, we can either choose to become the kind of man who can attract women. And it's just happened to be the case that there are a lot of similar qualities that if you develop in yourself as a man, you will attract more women as a whole. Even nowadays, it's like, women are actually out earning their male counterparts under the age of 30, but they still want a man who can provide. It's like a guy could be like, well, you shouldn't care about that because you can work, you can earn your own money. Women are killing it, but they still want it. And that's fair enough. I'm not judging them for that. And so when it comes to like, and I think part of what we're saying about what's happening now, I think this is the first time in history where a relationship isn't guaranteed for the woman. And I think it's happening because we live in a globalized dating marketplace and now we have access to everyone. The same reality that men have always had to face, which is, look, I'm not guaranteed to get my lineage into the next generation. I know that's only going to happen if I work in the areas in myself that can attract the kind of woman I'm looking for. I think this is the first time that women are having to do that because of this globalized dating marketplace. Now the competition is very high. And it sounds really bad. And this is for men and women. It's almost like a natural selection kind of thing. Like the guys who are the kind of guys that women are looking for will get the women in relationships they want.
Yeah.
The women who are the kind of women that men are looking for to invest in and build a family with, they will get that. Do you know what I mean? And then it's our choice as individuals to be like, cool, do I want to develop myself in a way where I can become the kind of man that women see as husband material? Or do I develop myself in a way where I can become the woman that men see as wife material? And I don't think it's ever too late to course correct, if I'm being honest, but I do think there are some things that, okay, we may just have to let that go and be like, well, that's not for me just because of, maybe certain decisions I've made, but men have to do that too. There are just, like, for example, if a guy's, if he's had experiences with men before, right? Some women are just like, absolutely not. Some women don't mind, but I've heard more. Some women are like, I would never go there. You tell me.
I'm not sure I could have a relationship. I did meet this young, handsome man who was bisexual.
Mm-hmm.
He was lovely, but I don't think it would have been for me long term.
Why?
I don't know. It's a good question. No, I feel
say
like
how it is. Say it how it is, Shorties. Don't beat around the bush. It's okay. Say it. Be honest.
Okay, no, to be honest, I know why I think this, because I heard it when I was young and susceptible, and it's kind of always just stayed with me. I heard that if a girl says she's bisexual, this is so outdated. This is why I didn't want to say it, to be honest. I think there would be a lot of backlash.
Okay.
But back in the day, sort of in my teens and, in the 90s and the noughties, it was kind of said that if a girl says she's bisexual, she's just curious and she's actually straight. But if a guy is bisexual, he's curious and actually he's gay.
Sure. Yeah, so, I've heard that before. Sure.
I think it is probably outdated. I think more people understand their sexuality now better than they did 30 years ago.
I have a theory as to why there's this asymmetrical thing happening. I think, one, women being with women has often been an aphrodisiac for men, right? And if we're thinking guys, like Genghis Khan having their harem all the time, when we do stuff, he's like, yeah, he loves that. I also think that and correct me if I'm wrong, I think for women, if they're dating a guy who's bi, they don't just have to worry about women, but they have to worry about men now. right?
I'd never thought of it like that, but I suppose you are right.
And then there's an aspect of, okay, well, there is something a man can do that she just can't do, and that's out of her control. Whereas I guess, and this is probably, I do think this is naive when guys think that, okay, well, I can do whatever a woman can. It's like, yeah,
You
but
absolutely cannot.
some, you know, I've talked to some women who are bi where their best sexual experience was with a woman because she just understood her.
Yeah, and it
all
just
of
lasts for days.
it can. So I guess it is one of those things where I don't think many men make it their mission to become like an excellent lover. I think some guys do, but
I think so many just don't have a clue.
I think most don't. I think most don't have a clue.
I mean, the
I think most don't
nicknames
have a
that we have
clue.
given guys in my
I
group
believe
chat,
you.
we will name
you
you so quickly.
I believe you, but I think ultimately I don't think a man feels threatened by a lesbian for his woman, whereas I think a woman
Which is
can
very
feel
naive. I just feel like
it can be
very,
naive.
very naive. Look, I mean, at the end of the day, if she's straight, then it's not. But if she's already curious,
I think
anyway,
be more threatened by another man. But then, do you know what's really interesting though? I've spoken to, and I say this actually, one of my good female friends. She's bi. She's marrying her girlfriend in next year actually. But I've spoken to a few bi women who are bi, and even though they like, yeah, they've had relationships with men and women, they would only want to ever marry a man.
maybe
Why do you think that is?
maybe they like dick. I mean, I don't know. Like, maybe they want children, and maybe they want
You can have children if you're with a woman.
Maybe the bi stuff is just sort of, like I don't want to say a phase, because I feel like it kind of dismisses how important a same-sex relationship can be.
Yeah.
Novelty. It's really interesting. It's really exciting. And I've always wanted to do this, and I'm really happy here. But fundamentally, I want to get married, settle down, and have kids. It's back to that traditional values that they want. And maybe, 10, 20, 30 years ago, if it was less frowned upon, we would have had more of that back then.
No, but I mean like younger women that I've talked to, like of this generation, that they've been like, yeah, like maybe they've experimented.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's because in society, it's much more acceptable now.
But they still want to be with men in the end.
But it's acceptable to be fluid and to experiment.
Oh, that's why they're experimenting now. Oh, I see what you're
it's
saying.
Before,
Right.
like in the 90s,
yeah,
I think there were like maybe two lesbians in my school, and they knew they were lesbian, but they didn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
And one of them got married, actually, didn't have children, but, eventually the marriage fizzled out. They've remained wonderful friends. And since then, she's been in relationships with women.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my point. I think that the reason young women are experimenting more with same-sex relationships is because it's just easier to do than it was 20 years ago.
I hear that. So then question, because you know how we talked about, this may be a very simple answer and very stupid question.
Never.
You know how we talked about how, so that a lot of women are more choosing not to entertain relationships with the opposite sex, with men dating. Would they date women? Are they trying to date women? Is that something that they're exploring?
I think so. But maybe not in a romantic sense.
Right.
So, because it's sort of trending, like, oh, I'm dating my friend, or I go out with my best friend. Why would I have a man if, my best friend takes me out for like an amazing meal and we
Is this
laugh
a female best friend?
This is trending, what I see on the socials.
Yeah, but is it like a female best friend?
Yes, female best friend.
Oh, okay,
right. So it's not so much that they're deciding to date girls romantically; they're dating girls platonically.
But that's you just hanging out with a friend.
But it's really not. No, because if I hang out with my friend, she might come to my house, we might watch a movie, or I might go to her place and we'll have some dinner, and we'll whatever. But I'm talking about doing those really wonderful things that you would want to do with a guy. So, like,
women have always gone out with their friends, though. That's not new.
But I think the trend is, I think the difference is that we did it in the 90s and stuff, and we just called it, I'm hanging out with my friend and stuff. But now it's become a trend where you're actively kind of doing all of the wonderful things that you would want to do with a guy, but with your best friend.
But I think that's always been the case. Like going out for dinner, going to concerts.
But it's not been trending. And when you have a trend, that means more people jump on the bandwagon. And again, fundamentally, I think it's just another way to separate us and divide us.
I'll be honest, I think it's all cope. Because like, I think spending time with friends, the only difference between your friend and your partner is you sleep with your partner. So when you go, oh, I'm dating my friend, why do I need a man? It's like, well, unless you're sleeping with your friend, you're not doing anything different.
I mean, I don't use that term. I would never say I'm dating my friend. I would say that, me and my crew are going out or whatever. But
Sure.
I just wanted to point out that I've seen that online, that girls are promoting this idea of dating their best friend because men aren't good enough and aren't coming with the correct kind of date. And I'm not, again,
Sure.
that's something I'm against,
Sure. I think the fact that they're promoting it is just showing that it's cope, because it's like, if you're going out with your friends, you don't need to say, hey, I'm dating my friend because guys are trash. It's like, if anything, all you're showing, I'm just being honest, all you're showing is that you're not happy in your love life.
You're not dateable.
Right? Well, you could say that. Like, maybe there's something going on. Why you not, why do guys not want to date you, or why do guys not want to have a relationship with you? But it's like, because girls who go out with their friends who are happy, they just go out with their friends and have a good time. Be like, hey, I'm hanging out with my friend. We're having a lovely time. They're not like making a point. It's like if a guy goes, yeah, I'm going out with my boys, so I'm not dating all these gold diggers. What does that tell you about him?
It's just, it's one of those things that doesn't correlate at all.
Do you know what I mean? It just says like, okay, you're clearly kind of hurt about some past experiences. Fair enough, that happens. But now you're trying to indirectly indirectly try and shame them. And here's the thing. I understand that. I'll be honest. I think it's because I think a lot of women are dissatisfied with their love lives, as well as men, right? But I think women are more expressive online. I think that's what we see. I think it's a way to try and those kinds of posts. I think those kind of posts are a way to shame men into doing right, what they consider doing right.
If you're loving this episode and these kinds of conversations, then I want to give you something. We recently launched the Kits Angels community. This is a sisterhood for women who are tired of what the dating scene has given them and are ready to take their love lives to the next level. It's a space for you as a woman to not be alone in your journey to love, where we learn, talk, and share our experiences as part of a strong sisterhood, with some leadership and guidance from yours truly, of course. Not to mention never before seen videos from me on how I've led dozens of women to meeting great men. And so as a thank you for watching this episode, I'm giving you a month's membership completely complimentary on me. Just click the Kits Angels link below, and when you join the group, message me the code phrase Angels Podcast and I will pay for your membership. Now back to the episode.
And again, it's just nothing that I stand by. We need better relationships. We need to communicate more. We need to, like we said this last time, people are having less sex. There's more divorce. There's less babies. Like, it's not looking good. Right. And I encourage everybody to do more work on themselves and then invest more in the relationships, whether that is a relationship that you're dating to marry, or even if it's a sexual relationship. Like, just because it's a sexual relationship doesn't mean that you don't want it to get better with time, doesn't mean that you shouldn't be respectful and lovely with each other. Like, I'm all for that.
And this is for men and for women. I think this one thing will help everyone, and is for them to take accountability for their results. If you don't have the results you have, the only person that you can look at is the person in the mirror. It's not all men's fault. It's not all women's fault. It's not society's fault. I was having this conversation with my producer earlier. If I'm not in the position that I want to be in, it's because I haven't become the kind of man who can be in that position. That's all it is, right? Is it maybe harder for me than a white pretty boy counterpart? Maybe, but so what? Right? So
Challenge
what?
accepted.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and it could be, and a lot of, I say I've seen comedians say this, but in general, like a guy who's maybe on the shorter side, it may be harder for him to attract the kind of woman that maybe, I don't know, a guy who's taller and in better shape could. But there are other things he can do to attract that kind of woman. It's up to him if he wants to do it or not.
If it helps, I've gone out with some short dog like guy.
Short dog kick. Well, see, there you go. Right? And she's attractive over here. She's got it over here.
He's one of the ones that I cried for like a year and a half. It's terrible.
So
whatever. It is what it is.
Because I think, and I would say this, if I saw, and I've seen this, where guys make a post about there's something wrong with all the women today, X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah.
That male loneliness epidemic stuff.
Yeah, I think there's a loneliness epidemic period,
Exactly.
less people in relationships and, having physical intimacy. But I would also say the same to him. I'd be like, okay, the kind of women you want, they're out there, right? So
And you're not going to get them the way you
well, it's
are.
like, why aren't you? You have to ask yourself, why am I not getting the results that I want? What am I not doing to get the results that I'm looking for? And that's not just in our relationships and love life. That's just in business, success, personal. That's in everything.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's missing. I think people are just not taking accountability. I'll be honest. I think the more we can, there's this phrase where it's like, I'll look after me for you and you look after you for me. Instead of going, it's your job to make sure I'm okay.
Yeah.
Because why is it your responsibility to make sure that I have what I need or I become the person I need? It's not. It's mine.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Honestly, I think that's the one thing missing for both men and women, just taking accountability.
I completely agree. I love that word, accountability. And you know what? Accountability is so sexy. Accountability and consistency and kindness. Kindness is top tier sexiness. Always it's just, yeah. And I haven't seen a lot of that with the men that I have chosen to engage with over the last years that I've been single.
You haven't seen a lot of accountability?
Or just like the ability to have those uncomfortable conversations. Like, I'm a big grown woman. Like, if you're not into me, you can tell me, and I'm not gonna, I might cry about it, but it goes a long way that you're able to be transparent. I like that.
Yeah, I think that's definitely, I think, sure, definitely needs to be transparent, especially if they're not into someone. Sometimes though, it can be, if they don't know you well enough, they don't know how you're going to handle it. And I think both men and women are like trying to be conflict avoidant, because I think as well, a lot of the practice is people like will just kind of fades out. Do you know what I mean? Especially if they're dating. If they're in a relationship, obviously it's different though. I've heard one or twice where they're like, my partner just ghosted me. I've just never heard from them. I'm like, that's crazy.
Ghosting is terrible.
That's crazy. You were in a relationship for a year.
So terrible. It's the lowest of the low. It shows such a lack of maturity, of respect, that I have absolutely no time for it. My problem is that they're boomerangs.
They come back.
They just come back.
Why does I think I know why a guy comes back. Why would a girl come back if she goes to the guy?
Oh. Well, I guess that there was something there that she was still intrigued with, something that hadn't, there was something that she still wanted to explore.
Right.
That's what I would say. It could be a whole heap of things.
Fairs.
She could just be lonely and bored.
Fairs.
I
think I'd more likely believe that.
Exactly. I think I heard this one. So I used to think that men would boomerang because there was something about me. There must be something that they like, and that's why they come back. And then I heard something and it said, well, they're not coming back to say that they still love you. They're coming back to check if you're still stupid. Right? And to those men, I would say, well, yes, I am. I'm still here and I'm still stupid. No, it can be a whole host of reasons, but I would like to fundamentally think that the reason people boomerang back towards me is that there was something there that was intriguing and mysterious and they wanted some more of it. But if you boomerang or you've ghosted or you've been disrespectful, there's only a certain amount that you get to access.
Yeah, and I think rightfully so. You're having standards and respect for yourself. What's something else you want to talk about? Because you had a list. Did you want to check on your phone?
Let's check my list.
Yeah.
What did we go through? Well, I think we've talked about quite a lot already, but I think that the main thing was, that having happier, healthier relationships with yourself. And then I really wanted to talk about that dopamine hit. I know one thing that we could talk about.
Go for it.
So, that thing where they say like the woman shouldn't sleep with the man on the first date.
Oh, yes.
Because they don't respect them or anything. If you look at the biological side of things, there is actually a method to the madness of that. And it's because, when a man and a woman have sex, the woman gets that rush of oxytocin, which is the good, happy hormone, right? Not the dopamine. But for men, their testosterone overrides the oxytocin, which is built over time.
Yes.
So if you have sex right away, the woman gets that rush, but the man doesn't.
Yeah, true.
If you see him more than once, twice, 3 times, and you're building, that oxytocin level, that's how he is genuinely interested in you.
Yes, but it's not through sex. It's not through sex.
It's heightened through sex because when you orgasm as well, you get a boost of oxytocin.
Yeah, but how men generally bond to women is not through sexual intimacy.
Okay, so teach me what
I would say it's through emotional vulnerability. Can she provide a space for him to be emotionally vulnerable? Because what we see is, we know that women tend to bond through sex, which is why when it's friends with benefit situation, you even said it yourself, it's usually the woman who gets hurt because she's connected, she's invested, she's feeling like she's building connection with him. He's like, I like you, but this was just fun.
And
right?
very rarely do the men change their mind. Women
Yes.
think that they can change the man's mind because I'll spend more time with him and, I'll do like funkier things or dress up nicer, but it doesn't. If a man says that it's just going to be a physical thing, 9 out of 10 times it's going to remain that.
Very true. But what makes a man commit for a relationship is not what's in the bedroom, it's everything outside the bedroom. It's everything outside the bedroom that makes him go, this is the kind of woman that I want to invest in long term, build a life with, or have a relationship with of some kind. Because with all due respect, like, having sex is easy. Anyone can do that. But actually showing up in a way, and this goes for men and for women, showing up in a way where you make your partner feel safe, secure, you're adding value to their life, right? And you're having the standard for that as well. They feel loved and respected by you. You're generous with each other. All of that is to do with outside the bedroom. If it was just sex, so many more people would be in a relationship, because casual sex is the most highest it's ever been. But it's actually everything outside of the relationship. And I think this is a common misconception that a lot of people can have, because they think, oh, well, we've been sleeping together for 6-7 months. Why is not he in love with me? It's like, because that's not how he falls in love, sis. Like, it's everything outside of that. And how we know as well, what? Now I'll finish this off. When a male friend suddenly confesses to his female friend, I care about you, I want us. He's thinking we share all these emotional vulnerabilities together. We share everything together. We talk about deep things. Why does she not feel the same way? Because she connects with the physical. That's where a lot of her bonding happens. And she's like, why is he like in love with me? We're not being physical. We're not intimate. Oh, my male friends just confessed to me. How many times I've heard that? I'm sure you've had that.
Honestly, like, yeah.
Yeah,
like big time in the last 2 years, I would say. Exes from 10 years ago, 20 years ago, even 20 plus years ago, confessing their absolute undying love for me.
Oh, I guess you were involved with them, so it's a bit different. Are you still do you still talk to them as male friends, or?
I do.
Right.
One in particular. And he's lovely. I mean, bless, we always, whenever we hang out, we always say to people like, oh, if we had stayed together, we would have been like, happy. But instead he went and he married some fat bitch and was really miserable for 20 years. But I feel
Savage.
It is the truth.
No,
and he would agree
I'm
as
here for
well,
it.
It is what it is. But I keep saying to him now, like, I think we need a new story, because the truth is, if we had gotten together, it probably wouldn't have worked out. And you probably would have pissed me off as well. And whatever, it just didn't happen. In a parallel universe somewhere, we're happily married with kids, but it just didn't happen. But
do you believe that there could be someone that is right for you to build a family with, but then there's someone else to be your life partner?
I would like to hope so, because
that
would be my ideal experience. I got married. I was very, very in love with him, and the marriage wasn't perfect, but I know a lot of people would have referred to us as a power couple. I would love to be a power co-parenting, situation. That's what I would love. It's my ideal situation. But I would love it that that was my first love, my first soulmate. And even though we're not together, I still would consider him a soulmate. But I'm just very romantic and very affectionate in my overall life anyway. So it's a bit different, but yes, definitely I do. And I think that the relationship that you enter into in your mid-20s, I was 25 when I met him, and we were married when I was 26. That
was swift.
Shotgun wedding.
Swift. Yeah, fairs.
Shotgun
Good
wedding.
for you. Yeah.
You can know someone for 10 years and then the relationship breaks up after a year of being married. And then you can get married after a year and have a very wobbly 13 years like I did. And,
Sure.
then it ends. But
Maybe marriage is the problem. Just joking.
the pressure of marriage is definitely the problem.
That's
the pressure of marriage, like we don't have the same reasons to get married now than we did 100 years ago or even 50 years ago. But, marriage is supposed to be a beautiful thing. Like we used to say, like the old ball and chain. Like, that's awful. What do you mean? Like your wife is your ball and chain. You go, oh God, all these responsibilities. Like
We're all cuffed up now.
Whatever works for people, I encourage them to go for that because we have one life and you deserve happiness. And if a monogamous relationship...
Don't deserve happiness, Shorty. I'm sorry. I don't
we
think we
should.
do.
Okay, then how can we put it differently? Like we should have a mindset open to feelings of happiness. Would that be better?
I think we should have the opportunity to pursue what fulfills us.
One of my best acting teachers years ago told me, he said, instead of feeling so heartbroken and wallowing in your misery, why don't you just embrace the fact that you are so alive in your human experience that you can feel all of these things.
That's a great way to look at it. I respect that.
I did not get it at the time. I was annoyed with him at the time because I was so heartbroken.
Of course.
I was like, what do you mean? Like, I'm suffering here.
Yeah.
But the truth is, life, if you believe that we are a soul and we only have this body for a certain amount of time, then I would encourage everybody to make the most out of this experience. So yes, you're going to feel pure bliss, pure happiness, abundance and all of these wonderful things. You're also going to feel frustrated, irritated, sadness, depression. You can feel all of those things. But again, it's how you label yourself. There are so many people who go, oh, I'm depressed and I'm on medication. But are there people that say, I'm happy?
Yeah.
Like all the time. Well, it's not normal to be happy all the time, but
is happiness a choice?
I think it is a choice on some level. I really do. And I choose to be happy. But I think that came from a place where, I had adverse childhood experiences. They're called ACEs in therapy, and it's a list of things that if they happen to you, the likelihood of you becoming a happy, healthy, functioning adult are less likely. And they are things like having an alcoholic parent or having an absent parent or having a parent die or moving country. All of these things affect you because fundamentally they chip away at the feelings of safety, new home, new environment, potential new parent or no parent or whatever. But some really horrible things happened to me when I was a child. And then I grew up and I just thought, I'm still so grateful for all of the experiences that I had. I'm grateful for my mother being truly authentic and my best friend, even though, she had problems with alcohol. And I'm happy that I had the money and the privilege to travel a lot. So I saw what it was like for children to be starving and begging on the street. I didn't have any of those difficulties, So again, practicing gratitude is not a woo-woo thing. If you hook up all the mechanics and you look at your brain waves and your heart and all of that, gratitude is a vibration. It raises your vibration. You need to practice gratitude. And again, I think if you vibe higher, you receive better.
I completely agree with you. Gratitude is the attitude for happiness.
Oh, I love
for
that.
sure. For sure, I agree. One thing I wanted to ask you was, you can tell you're so grounded in yourself, and from previous chats and even touched on this chats, you've had some great experiences with guys, but you also dealt with guys who weren't great, right? And I think for a lot of women, while they're expressing what they are online, is because they have been hurt, right? And they've had bad experiences, but they do want a relationship. Now, I could be wrong, but I think you don't seem that you're holding a jadedness towards men as a demographic.
I love
but
men. I'm like boy crazy.
Do you know what I mean? But you've had you've had some guys who didn't treat you the way they should have.
But they also were some of the best experiences.
Right. So I guess what I want to ask is, how how do you reconcile that within yourself? As in, sure, you've maybe had some bad experiences with a few guys who weren't great, but that's not stopped your desire and maybe openness to having a relationship with men as a whole, right? Like if women were going to learn from that.
I think for me personally, I love so effortlessly. I really do. Like I'm really, really loving in my nature and in my personality. You know, like I'll meet someone and have an amazing evening with them, and from that day on, I call them my friend. And I might never see them again.
Yes.
But again, there are 8 billion people on the planet, and I got to have this really amazing experience or this really amazing conversation or a really thought-provoking moment with someone. So to me, that is really special. Love, I think love is a choice.
Yes,
as well.
I
Love
agree.
is a choice. I choose to love very openly, very freely, very authentically. I choose to be vulnerable because falling in love is so fucking awesome. You know, like
Yeah.
it's so wonderful, and it's worth all of the heartaght. It really is, for me anyway. Like I look back at, you know, my single life over the last 4.5 years, and there've been like, oh, all right, maybe just one special person, maybe 1.5 special people.
Was he a short king? Is that the half? No, I'm just teasing you. Go on.
Yeah, the short king. I won't say what the squad named him as a nickname, but because it's brutal. But what can you do? Like, I'm happy enough to take the chance because I know what it can bring. And also, I don't see this is my mindset and the self-development and the work that I have done. Everything is happening for me, not to me.
Yes.
And that heartbreak that I went through, you know, me and him, we were seeing each other for like 3 months. That was it. And there was no, you know?
Oh.
So it was just being together, making out, 3 months, really, really lovely. And I really thought that it could be something really special. But I was also right in the middle of a horrible divorce. I was so heartbroken. So to then have my heart broken when it was already broken definitely wasn't a nice experience. But it's still, I wouldn't change it for anything. I learned so much from that relationship. I hadn't been single in 15 years, you know, and I understood now. Listen, when a guy messages you, WYD,
what are you doing?
he's probably doesn't have any nice plans for you. If a guy can't make a plan for a date and everything is last minute, that says something to you. If a man bitches about his ex-girlfriend to you and then goes back to have a relationship with her, that then shows you shouldn't be with a man who talks bad about his ex.
I agree.
You know, like, because there's always two sides of the story.
Yeah.
I'm, again, a huge advocate. Like, if you're going to remarry and you have children in the dynamic, you should meet the other person's, like, ex.
Yeah,
because,
no, that's a good point, yeah.
I mean, I would want to know, why did you break up? How toxic was it? What did he do that I don't know about? You know, like it gives you so much more information. And the more you educate yourself, the better results you're going to have for yourself. Right? So that's what I would say. I love very openly, very freely, because it's authentically who I am. And I think that's thanks to my mom. My mom my mom loved me right. You know, she was never critical of me. And, you know, even if I dye my hair or put a little filler in my lip or something, she'd be like, oh, but you don't need it. You're so beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think fundamentally I had that loving mother.
Yes.
And then from teenage years to 25, I think I got all messed up by external sources.
Sure.
But I think I find it so easy to love because my mom loved me properly.
Yeah. Wow, that's really powerful. And you don't have to say this, but what was your relationship like with your dad, who it was the first, I guess, male relationship you would have had in your life?
So I was a daddy's girl, and my dad passed away when I was 3.
Wow.
So then I had a wonderful stepfather in a very different, not in the same household, because again, my family dynamic was really messed up. But
Sure.
I had a wonderful father until I was 3. I had a wonderful stepfather until I was about 13, 14, and then he passed away.
Wow.
These are men who adored me, you know, spoilt me, gave me absolutely everything. I mean, my stepfather, once I was on holiday in Miami and we were going from Miami to France where he was, And I saw a dress in Miami airport and it was like $1,000. I was like 6 years old at the time. That was like a huge amount of money. It's like 10 grand
Yeah,
today.
that's £1,000
And
on
I
a
said,
dress.
Mommy,
That's
I
a lot,
want
yeah.
that dress. And she was like, I'm definitely not giving that to you. And I was like, And she went, well, your stepdad has money. Ask him. So I went straight up to him and I said, Peter, you have money, right? And he went, yes. And do you know what he did? He sent someone to Miami to get the dress for me and bring it back to France.
Oh,
So
wow.
there was such high standards set. I know that they're like really unrealistic. And I'm not saying that I need a man to do that.
Yep.
But what I will say is losing the two most pivotal and important male role models in my life gave me the ability to love a man from afar.
Wow, that's powerful.
I didn't have the chance to be with my dad. I didn't have the chance to be with my stepfather. And that familiar feeling of an absent man is so ingrained in me that I will never chase a man. Like, even if I love you, you've shown me that there's nothing here. I will love you from afar very easily.
And without jaded, without negative energy, just kind of accepting.
Yeah. Look, the men that I have dated, they might not have been wonderful, right?
Sure.
But they're like not as bad as some of the things that have happened to other people I know, other girls that I know.
Sure.
They weren't awful to me. They weren't horribly disrespectful. They were just not up to my standards with communication and stuff. Like there might have been wonderful chemistry, fake dopamine hits, but fundamentally we weren't compatible. And I'm not going to be spending any of my time with someone who's not compatible. I'm a single mom. My priorities are my children and my family. And it's not chasing after some man that isn't really that into me. Yeah,
no, fair. One thing I know you mentioned, about want to touch on was chemistry versus compatibility. What is being compatible? What does that look like to you? What does that mean?
I think it starts with a conversation around your beliefs and your values.
For sure.
That's, if we don't have those in common, then there's no point.
Yes.
So with one of the guys that I was seeing, he had very different sexual preferences to me.
Like he was into men?
No.
Was it? I don't know, maybe.
No, I don't think so. But although I have heard that there is a theory that men who sleep with a lot of women and are very promiscuous, fundamentally they hate men and they are gay. They hate women and they are actually gay.
Wait, a man who sleeps with a lot of women hates women?
Yes.
And are gay?
Yeah.
No.
I'd challenge it. I'm not sure about it.
I don't believe that.
Yeah.
Because I think the truth, I think most guys would try and have a hoe phase if they could. And if we look at historically, the most powerful men who could do whatever they want have almost always had a harem of women.
I mean, I would challenge that as well. There are some really successful men.
Who said that? I'm curious. Who did you hear that from?
Which
about if a man
I don't remember where I heard it from, but it's when you treat women, again, very disposable, when you've slept with over 200-300 women, especially in a very short space of time.
Yeah.
And then maybe, again, the kind of things that you like to do with those women, it can...
I think definitely,
Not that that's an insult anyway. It's just...
Sure.
Again, it's not my journey.
Yeah.
It's not my funeral. Like it's not my gay party.
No, that's not my avenue. No, I think definitely guys, can and do treat some women as just disposable sexual options. That's definitely the case. I think a lot of that comes to power in regards to what they maybe like to do with women. If it's like a domineering thing. I think there's this song that says everything is about sex, but sex is about power, which I thought that's so interesting.
In Sex and the City, Samantha says that sex is power. And then that's why prostitution is a powerful thing, because you're exchanging money and sex, and both are powerful things. Yeah,
I think sex is almost something that will never lose its value. Like you can always trade sex for money. Always. Like even as a guy, I guess, but mainly as a woman. But as human beings, and this comes for women as well, we can get intense pleasure from high domination over someone else. And that can happen a lot in men and women, depending on what their tastes are. But yeah, I do think some guys enjoy the power that they can have in terms of women sexually.
I think it's a really interesting conversation to be had around preferences, kinks, fetishes, and also how pornography has influenced our fetishes and our preferences, because porn has gotten increasingly more violent over the last 10, 20, 30 years. And because men, well, and women watch porn,
main
and
consumers are men. Very true.
But because it's so accessible, people think that that's what sex should be like.
Yeah.
But it's not. Like, there's a whole world of tantric sex out there that is very, very different to like mainstream and popular pornography.
Yeah.
And I'm a person that's more interested in that kind of stuff than into the fetishes and the kinks. Like, I'm not one for dressing up in toys and stuff.
Yeah.
It just doesn't really interest me.
Would you ban pornography? Could wave a magic wand.
Yeah, I probably would. Even though I like porn. I watch porn sometimes. I don't have a problem with it at all. It's a business. But it is changing our brains, actually. And it is... It's getting, like I said, it's getting increasingly more violent, and it's influencing the young people too much. If I could put it, I think there should be an age restriction. I think now you have to you have to do something,
and ID.
You have to do ID or something. But that doesn't mean that it's not accessible for children. So
yeah, I'm not
I say children,
sure.
like children watching porn. I think there was a study conducted, and it was something like, I don't know, like over 60 or 70% of like 11, 12-year-olds had already seen hardcore pornography. That is terrible.
Yeah, I discovered pornography with my friends when I was 12. Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
It really, really is tragic, because if that is your first experience seeing something like that, then you're going to think that that is normal. It can also program immediately what you will be into in later life. And if that is something dangerous, or taboo, then that's sad.
It's so interesting because, and I definitely hear that. I think, and this is purely anecdotal, I think a lot of young boys try and learn about sex through porn, and then they start having sex and they realize, oh, that is not what sex is like at all. And I think especially because...
But girls are watching the porn too. So if they're the same age, then they are actually doing things that you wouldn't naturally do as a human. Like, I think we spoke about this as well. Like, back in my day, it was kinky to have a bit of spanking and like foot stuff.
Right.
Yeah. And even anal was very, very taboo.
Yeah.
And it is not anymore. It is so mainstream now. And yeah, like I said, like pornography has actually changed us as a species. It's changed how our brains work and how we're having sex.
Yeah, I think it's definitely it's definitely built people's tolerances, I think, for things that are more outside of the conventional, which have now become the conventional. So like, I think, would anal be considered conventional? Maybe it would.
There's like triple anal. I mean, come
what?
on,
I don't even know. What does that even mean? I don't even know what that means.
Pretty sure you could.
You probably could. But I guess it's interesting because I haven't watched porn for a very long time. I do think it's bad, and I think it sets unrealistic expectations in men about sex and about women, about women's bodies.
For both, not just men
sure.
and women.
For women as well, for sure. But I do find it interesting that I think the pendulum is starting to swing.
I'd really like to hope so. I'd like to come full circle around where we're putting away porn. We're putting away our phones all the time. We're getting more uncomfortable. We're getting more familiar with uncomfortable silences. Because, in my day, when you go to a party, you didn't have your phone just to distract you because you were feeling awkward for a few minutes. But it's in those awkward moments that you met people, or that fun conversations started. And we were genuinely connecting with each other and getting to know each other. And now it's just so...
So I have to ask you a question on that, right? And I think I know what you might say because, you know, you shared your perspective. Do you think casual sex is having more of a net positive or more of a net negative?
I don't, first of that there's the expression casual sex. I don't think sex is ever casual. I think sex is an exchange of energies at the like the highest level. Who you have sex with, you should be very, very selective. As long as your casual relationship is respectful, I think it can be wonderful. Like I would say, you know, there's a gentleman that I occasionally see, should we say?
Fez. I love the
he's-
lady just came out. There's a gentleman that I see on occasion. Okay.
Yes. Well, I don't even know how to describe him because I wouldn't say he's a friends with benefits, and I don't really like the other terms that I could use, but
Sure.
it's very transparent. It's very black and white. It's very respectful. And it's what is good for me right now in my life.
Sure.
But, you know,
Would that count as a non-monogamous relationship?
I just don't ask him what he's doing and he doesn't really ask me. We don't bug each other about that.
Do you consider yourselves in a relationship?
I would say we're in a relationship, yes, because I use the relationship for what it actually means. So I have a relationship with you, I have a relationship with you, I have a relationship with my neighbor, and however we define that relationship is what it is.
Yes, but I think there's a difference between saying I have a relationship with this person and I'm in a relationship with this person.
I have a relationship with this person. I am most certainly not in a
You're
relationship
not in a
with
relationship.
this. Absolutely
okay,
not.
cool.
No.
Okay, so like if you both pursued other people more seriously, that would be completely fine. That
We
would be
haven't spoken
accepted.
about it. I think what we have spoken about is that I am not looking for a husband.
Mhm.
He doesn't have children and he would like a wife and he would like to settle down and get married. So
Okay,
we're not
so
compatible
you're
in
just
that
not
way.
in alignment with what you want.
You know, exactly. But he's tall, dark, and handsome. And,
Hey, do you, girl? No judgment
I'm
here.
short and cute, so it works.
Told you, short kings. She wants a tall man. I tried to tell. No, just playing. I'm just playing. Okay, let me ask you. One more thing. Let's see. Oh, actually, a couple of things that you actually mentioned, which I think was actually very helpful. Okay.
Listen, I just put together those questions. It
No, I
doesn't
think
mean
these
that
are
I know
great.
all the answers.
No, I know. I think it's great for us to definitely touch on them because there's some really good stuff here. Why does dating feel like a full-time job for women but a hobby for men? What did you mean by that?
One of my neighbors said that to me a few years ago, you know, when I was considering dating and I had downloaded the dating apps and things like that. And she was saying to me, it's a full-time job. To weed out the guys that are going to be in your inbox is a full-time job. You have to have like time to do that. And I was like, well, where would I have the time? Like I have a job, I have children, I take care of my mom, I had a dog. Like I don't have time to swipe the whole time and then like weed out these people. And then I think it's, you know, what you said about, you know, men who are desirable having the choice. So for them, it's really easy to just choose from the sea of women who they want to take to dinner or who they want to go away for the weekend with.
Yeah, because he has to provide for her. Yeah.
Right. So for men, maybe it's more leisurely until you get to a certain point, I guess, and then you want to settle down. But for women, it seems to be a lot more work.
I hear you. So obviously we would say for the men who have the abundance of choice, it's a very small percentage, but it's not leisurely because it's costing him something. Because if he's taking a woman away, he's the one having to provide.
I would suggest any man that is pinching pennies when they date, just don't do it.
But it's not about pinching pennies. What I'm saying is that it's not like, think of it this way, right? I get to choose from the sea of women who I need to now pay for something.
But it should be your privilege and your honor to spend that money on them. And that's where I think, again, men are going wrong. Like, you should want to take her to dinner. You should feel happy to pay that bill. And with the right woman, I think you do. It's only when you go on the date and it's shit, they're like, fuck, I had to spend £100 listening to this woman complain about her nail tech or whatever it is.
Sure. So when I said that, I'm not saying that men don't want to do that if they're interested, but we know it's more of a obligation.
If it
right?
helps.
And sure, it's to demonstrate leadership, etc. I don't even disagree with that. I'm going to be biased. I wouldn't say you're both meeting to see if there's potential.
May I offer some information to this?
Go for it.
So
Offer
the
away.
guy had a shower, shit and shave, yeah?
Mhm.
And then went on the date and paid for the date. But the girl, she probably went to get her eyebrows done, her lashes done. She spent time on her nails, her hair, her outfit. You know, women who men want to date,
Mhm.
we take care of ourselves. Like,
Okay. Here's something that I think women grossly underestimate. He's done a lot of the work already. I'll tell you why. For him to be the kind of man that you would even be interested in has taken months, years of work to even get there. To be a man who's successful, who's confident, who's in shape, who's attractive, who is charismatic, who is emotionally intelligent. For you to even be like, yes, I'm going to go on a date, he's had to put years of work to even become that kind of man and develop those qualities. Because we know women are more selective than men. We know women are a lot pickier. So, because I'm going to be honest, a lot of the criteria that women express that they want, fair enough, right? That some women express, they don't meet those criteria themselves. They don't.
They live
Not
in
even
Delulu.
close.
Live in Delulu.
No,
Yeah,
not even
agree.
close. And I'm not shaming them for it, but I'm like, so they think about, okay, you put more of an effort in putting on makeup and etc. All of that. Sure, you make more effort in the immediate, but for you to even say yes to me is a testament to the work I've already done in terms of the way I've developed myself as a man. Because I know you probably say yes in 1 in 20 or 30 guys, right? And then on top of that, I'm still paying and sorting thing out. Now, I'm not saying a man shouldn't do that, right? But I think it's kind of like, it's really easy. It's like, if we're talking about, I don't know, I'm trying to think, let's say there are clubs, right? It's like, well, yeah, I know if I'm going to go to a club, I need to pay for entry. I'm going to spend money on that. Now, of course, I'm going because I want to have a good time, right? I'm going because I want to have a good time, right? I'm not denying that. But of course, clubs are going to be like, if I'm a customer, right, potential punter, of course, clubs are going to be like, hey, come here. We've put effort into making the sofas nice. We put into the music, the DJ and everything. It's like, yeah, that's great. But I had to be in this position that I could even be a customer for you in the first place, right? So I'm not saying women don't make an effort. They absolutely do. But I think they're not seeing, because like on dating apps, out of 50 guys, how many guys do you swipe yes on, would you say on average?
Like 0.
0, right? So let's even say 1 in 100.
But that's because I'm so against these dating apps anyway. They're just...
Yeah, but you're selective, and that's fair enough.
It's like gambling. You're never going to win. Like, the chances of you winning are so little.
What does winning look like? What does that look like? What does it mean to win?
I think if you can find someone that you can have a nice time with, that's pretty winning.
It's like, yeah, okay. It's like if I've got a weekend that I can take a lovely lady on, right? It's like, well, yeah, of course, so many women would want to go on that weekend, even if they're not into me. Even if they're not into me, of course, a lot of women be like, yeah, a guy's going to take me away for a weekend. 100%.
I turn those down regularly.
Do you see what I'm saying?
I do see what you're saying. And I feel... I was going to say, I feel bad for those men. And sometimes I think, like, should I just go just because they're really nice and they've been chasing me for so long? And then I think,
no,
they wouldn't want that. They don't want me to go with them because I pity them. Oh, you asked that many times
some
over
guys
2
might,
years.
but I don't recommend that kind of man.
No.
I think it's, in the beginning, as men, we know we have to make that initial investment up front, and that's fine. You know, that there's nothing wrong with that. But I think it's understanding more about, if he's the kind of man which is the very few who has an abundance, then... But the thing is, most women have an abundance anyway. Like you said, it's like your friend said, shifting through is a part-time job. Most men do not have those amount of options. So that's like a really good problem to have, that you've got too many people who are interested.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? As
my friend's mom always said, if we sat around together at a table and we all put our problems in the middle, you'd always take your own problems back.
That's so very
and
true. Your mom said that?
No, my friend's mom.
Your friend's mom said that, right?
My friend's mom. And I never forgot that. But it's true. Like, all of the problems that I have, they're okay. They're not so bad.
Yeah. What's one more last thing you want to ask or talk about? Anything you want to bring to conversation today?
Let's talk about you personally.
Talk about me?
Yeah, because I feel
Say
like
about
every
me.
time I come, I'm like, okay, let's just keep it general. Don't say anything about yourself. Like, don't go into
You can
too much
ask
detail.
about me if you want.
Yeah, let's talk about
I
you.
mean, there's
and-
some things I'm happy to share. Some things I'll keep private for, obviously, respect for whoever.
Well, you know what? This I put in my phone. I said, give me 10 good questions that I can ask to Kit. So let's see.
Me. Let's see. Oh, damn, where's my
Okay.
water?
It's given me way too many.
How much am I going to expose myself? I feel like I've shared quite. Do you know what's funny? Anyone who watches these shows, these episodes, I think I share little bits of myself in each episode, so they could probably curate exactly my profile. Thank you, man. Cheers.
I'm just going to freestyle it because this is
Go for it.
Get a bit too complicated.
Go for it.
Let's think. I mean, I suppose I would love to hear about your maybe top 3 experiences with girls. And it can be sexual, anything, friendship, anything, but maybe like 3 wonderful experiences that you've had with the opposite sex that changed you, that you learned from, that you thought was a real wow moment.
Oh, yeah. So I'd say the first one that comes to mind, there was, I think I mentioned this before on podcasts before, where I dated this South African girl.
Yes, I remember this story.
Yeah, and she was the first girl who ever, every time I came over, she'd always cook like a 4-inch breakfast. She'd always offer to do my clothes. She's offered me like a massage, and I'd never been treated that way by a woman before. And this was a woman who we knew there was an expiry date because she was here doing a show for a few months in the show that we were in. And I was like, I just never had that before. And that was like a wow moment, like, oh my goodness, like that. And it's not saying that woman has to come in and do all those things, but that kind of nurturing quality, I was like, I want that in the woman I would choose. And it's so funny because we both knew there was it was only going to be for a few months. And I knew in my head, okay, cool. We'll have an experience together. We'll connect while we're here. And then, she's going back to South Africa. Fine. And by her doing that made me start thinking, I'm gonna have to try and make this work, I was like, I might have to try and make this work because I just never had that experience before. Another experience, this was, I would say, this was like with an ex of mine. And this was when I knew that I was like, okay, I'm gonna make her my girlfriend for sure. We went to go watch a film that I was in. There was a part in the film where one of the characters died, and it was quite sensitive for me because I just lost my father at the time. I just buried my father at the time, and there's a song in the film and he's singing about how he's never going to see this and he's not going to experience this. I remember in the cinema, I'm not afraid to admit, in the cinema, we were sitting next to each other. She came with me because we were at the premiere, and I had a bit of a tearful moment. I wasn't making a noise, but some tears went down, down my face. It was quite a sensitive topic for me at the time, and what had just happened about losing a male figure in my life. And then fast forward, I was doing Bonnie and Clyde, which you came to watch. Actually, I was doing Bonnie and Clyde at the Garrick, and I was meeting with a business friend after. And I remember she called me. We'd been dating for a few months at that point. She called me. I was just like, hey, what's going on? And she was just like, so yeah, I just wanted to check in with you. I know there's a bit of a moment that you had at cinema earlier. I didn't want to say anything, but I just wanted to check and see that you're okay. And I was like, what? I was like, who is this woman? And that was like a really powerful moment for me. And I was like, wow, she's amazing. And she still is amazing. I still say she's amazing. And then a third one, let's say a third moment.
If it helps, those are 2 really good ones as
yeah,
well.
I'd say so. And it's really funny because, and maybe I'm biased, but in those 2 examples, and I've had physical experiences with women. I've, dated some really incredible, beautiful women. We've had great chemistry, but those 2 examples,
they're not sexual.
They're not sexual.
Yeah.
They're not sexual. It made me go, whoa, is every guy like that? I don't know. I know a lot of men that I would say who I see the kind of what makes them choose a relationship, and it is a lot of the time those things, how she impacts him on an emotional level, how she makes him feel safe in certain ways. I always say that the masculine protects the feminine physically and emotionally, but the feminine protects the masculine spiritually.
That's nice.
Looking after his spirit. So yeah, that's what I'd say. And then say, maybe another one is like, maybe my grandma cooking me something. I don't know.
Again, another not sexual thing. But
exactly.
what does it say? It says that, it's all about how the woman makes you feel.
Yeah, and this is something that I definitely say to the women I work with, that a man doesn't treat you better because you treat him better. He treats you better because you have standards and boundaries. But he doesn't commit and invest in you because you have standards and boundaries. He commits and invests in you because of how you make him feel. And as guys, at least I would say men who would want to understand women, they should understand that it's about how you make her feel, right? It's not just about, okay, just because I paid for the date, now you owe me this. It's about...
See, I had a friend like that, and he was like, oh, I would take a girl out for dinner, but I'm not going to like continue the date, even if we're having a good time, unless she's going to have sex with me. I'm like, so why don't you just go with a prostitute? You're paying and you begrudge paying and you don't want to continue the date because you don't want to pay anymore.
Yep.
Like, and then you're actually going to say that, oh, what? Because she's not going to give you sex. Like, you think the money, like, just go with a prostitute already. Like, it's not a fair exchange.
Yeah.
Especially not for certain women who have those high standards and boundaries.
Yeah.
I had an ex say to me, it was a few years ago now, and we were like hugging and we hadn't seen each other in a long time. And then I think I must have said something, because the women also, we look for reassurance a lot of the time. So women will ask things like, that's why women ask after sex, how was it good for you? And they want to talk about it because we love that reassurance, right? So I asked him, I said, well, what do you love about me? And then he said, I just love the way you make me feel.
Facts.
And I thought, okay, I get that, but that's not what I asked you. Like, I'm not.
Give me specifics.
Yeah, like, I want to know why I'm special to you, not why you like hanging out with me because you like my energy.
Yes.
Because you want more of this energy, this grounded energy, this mature energy, this authentic energy, and you don't have any of that because your life is a joke and you live a lie. But that's a story for another day.
Okay. I think, sorry to go back. I think it's everything though. So do you know what I think? I think it's like, when, as you women, you've done your eyebrows, you've done your lashes, done your makeup and stuff, right? We may not notice the details, but we do look at you and go, oh, she's looking great today.
Do you know how many times I wear no makeup and some guy that I see all the time, they go, oh my God, are you okay? You look really tired. I'm like, this is my face as a 43-year-old mom of two without
you got
any
it, girl.
makeup.
Don't mind them. You got it, girl. Don't worry about it.
Today when I wore makeup, I looked at myself. I'm like, do I look a bit strange? It's because I never wear makeup. When I put it on, I feel like I look very odd.
But you weren't. I think you weren't very naturally. But yeah, you were saying with him that you're asking, give me specifics. What do you love about me? And what was the? And were you looking for reassurance because you were feeling a bit apprehensive about how he felt or his intentions, or was it just
maybe a little bit of both? This was someone that I had known for a very, very long time, like even before I got married, and there is so much history there. And I think one of my flaws is maybe I put a little bit too much emphasis on history. Oh, we've known each other for this long, so it must mean that you care about me. Right. And it's like, well, maybe not. Maybe not. Yeah. So I think I was looking for reassurance. I wanted to know that he was there because he had missed me, because he had wanted to see me, because he wanted to make sure that I was okay. And it was, maybe I was in a point in my life where I was being a bit selfish and I wanted the me answers. I didn't need the him answers.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with asking for reassurance. I think, I ask the question why, and I think, I don't know. I mean, obviously I'm a guy. Do you find that have you experienced guys asking and looking for reassurance from you? Like quite a bit?
Maybe not in black and white, but I think the men do want reassurance. Men like praise, and men like to feel special as well, and I think, again, I like making, if there's a man that I'm spending some romantical time with, then I'm going to make him feel like the absolute king, because Again, I don't do anything unless I really, really want to be there. So if
Yeah.
I'm with you, like, to me, we've gone beyond the part where we're trying to lie about how we feel each other. Like
Sure.
you're here and I'm crazy about you. The reason you're here is because I'm crazy about you, and I,
Yes.
want to have this amazing experience with you. It's not because I'm trying to test you.
Yeah.
Like, the test is over. You got you you know.
You're in the school.
We're in
You're
the,
here.
we're alone in a room together. Like,
Yes.
I'm not testing anything at that point.
Yeah.
To me, nobody gets that far anyway. So if you are,
I think it's one thing that you said, which I think really rounds this conversation off, is about giving generously, which is essentially to give without expecting a return. If you get one, that's great. And often the reciprocation or return is a sign that, okay, maybe we're on the same path in terms of direction we want to take this in. But I think maybe this is this tension between, I think, a lot of men and women. Is about the women like, you need to start giving this, and guys like, well, I'm not giving this because you're not that kind of woman and you're not giving this. And maybe that's what we need to take about, we need to learn how to give without expecting a return. Now, that's not saying you should keep giving to someone that's not giving you a return.
yeah.
But I think it's when we give expecting a return and then we don't,
And
I
then
think that's
you
where
get pissed off.
resentment
Exactly. And
builds.
resentfulness is the worst
Yeah.
thing, and it's going to kill the relationship. And again, I always go back to, the better you know yourself, the more you can show up grounded in your relationship.
Yes.
If something is triggering you, if something is bothering you, that is something for you to look at. Like jealousy as well. Like, I don't get jealous ever,
Same,
but for those who do, what is the jealousy telling you? Let's not push it on the other person. Like, you did this and you made me feel like this and da 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 da. Well, you have some insecurities to work on.
Yeah.
Or, what are you jealous of? Like, for example, if a girl was jealous of a guy spending time with his coworker that is female, but there's nothing going on there.
Sure.
What is the girl jealous of? She's jealous because that girl has maybe more of his time than she would like. But it's not necessarily that she's jealous of the girl. She's jealous of what that girl has.
Is getting. Very true.
Yeah. So again, jealousy, anything that triggers you is a real opportunity for you to look within.
Yes, completely agree. Shorty, always a pleasure having you on. Thank you for sharing your energy with us and being patient earlier. If people want to follow you and your stuff and even get in contact, where can they find you?
Can find me on the interwebs at the Y Practice. That's Y with the letter Y. Or my active NLP page, which is my mindful movement and fitness page.
Beautiful.
If you want happier, healthier relationships, then maybe I'm the coach for you. Thank you so much.
We love that. Well, thank you for coming on and sharing your energy. We appreciate you. Guys, go give her a follow, give Shorty a like, all that good stuff. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you in the next episode.